Thank you so much. And it's kind of sad that this would be my last lecture, so hopefully I make it a good one. But when I was asked to get in this opportunity, they were sitting and says, what could be the topic to discuss? And a lot of the times I keep seeing, you get like the self-help books, the how-to books, you get all these vast array of things, but they all kind of have a simple theme to it. It's like, be active, take control of your life. And then as I say, okay, and here we are in the Spiritist movement, we also need to be active in our moral and spiritual progress. We need to be a part of our own growth. We just can't let life happen, let our progress just go. We just can't go with the flow. We're actually called upon to be active in many, many ways. Even in the Bible, you have Jesus, take up the cross and follow me. The cross is not light. If anyone has seen the Passion of the Christ, or even some of these things, that was very, very heavy. And he was telling people to take up the burden, take on the mantle, be active, be a part of the solution. He got his 12 disciples. He sent them out and says, go, do work. Represent me, represent what I'm teaching, and share it far and wide. And it was when you start thinking about these things and how he calls upon it, and we go into I guess I can go straight to it. Going into the doctrine itself, there's several sections where it's all talking about activity. It's like God, the very personification of love and charity, has never been inactive from the Spirit's book, question number 21. And you sit there and you think about it, it's like, other than the seventh day God rested, but even on that seventh day, he wasn't inactive. He still created. He was still very much active in the world, in the universe. We sit there and we think about everything that's been going on, and we just sit here like, God is never idle. He's always trying to improve us. He's trying to, he's always trying to call us to or to use Jesus' term, he's calling the lost flock. He's shepherded his thing back. He wants us to be perfect, to keep on this path of progress. And we stumble, we fall, we keep trying again. But that's the point. It's like, but at least get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving. You can't just sit there forever. You can't just sit there and say, I like this view. No. There's a better view, but you got to walk to it. You got to work towards it. You can't climb a mountain if you're just sitting here on the bottom and you don't do anything. You actually have to put one foot in front of the other and actually climb the mountain. And there'll be times where it'll be difficult, there'll be times when it'll be tough. But then once you get past that, you can look back and say, oh wow, I accomplished that. And look how the view has improved now that I've climbed further up the mountain. I mean, all of us here are professionals. We all have our jobs and things that we've learned. Now, we're not newbies to our field. We're not rookies. We all have had experience. And that's helped us to make us who we are in our own respective professions. So we've progressed. We've learned. Well, let's apply that to our spiritual growth, our moral growth, basically any type of growth. You were active to learn your job and do it well, for whether it's for a better paycheck, a promotion. Well, let's apply it to the Spirit. You put the effort in and you make yourself a better spirit. You shine with a brighter light. You have more love. You have more compassion. You're able to tolerate the daggers of evil, or you're able to weather the darkness that pervades either the spirit in the spiritual world, like umbral, that Andre Louise always mentions, or even on earth, all the pain and suffering that goes on, you can be the person that has that strength to be the one that goes and be the good Samaritan that helps the person that's fallen, that's gone out there to aid the sick, to help the poor, and be the person that helps it. The center is great because it has all these opportunities. The Caravan of Love, and then things where they go out and they help the homeless every 2 weeks. They all come here. They put hours of working together to prepare food, to make sure all the clothing is set aside, everything else. And then on the next day, then they come back together again and go and they distribute to the poor. They help. They become a positive influence in society. And we're meant to be a positive influence in our families, on our jobs, here, in our communities, the world over. We're always meant to try to always be better. We're always asked to strive to be a better person. And even going back to here, a spirit never remains inactive. Question 401. No spirit's inactive. Discarnate, incarnate, no spirit's inactive. You're always working. Whether you're in a dream state and you're off, either learning, being a part of a spiritual help team, whatever, or even just going off to see loved ones that have passed on. Your spirit is always active. Your body may be resting. Your spirit's not. And then everyone here has their passions, their loves, their desires. You think that ever stops? Do you think if you're sitting there one that is passionate for music, it's like you want to play music or listen to music, do you think that ever fades? No. That passion drives you. And you keep working towards it and refining it. And same with your spirit. Always purifying it. I keep getting these little motivational things, and there's two of them that always happens. One was about gold, and then the other one's about diamonds. And for gold, the purest gold always goes through the crucible. It's always heated to burn off all the impurities. So that's work. That's effort. It's being actively worked upon to become a better product. Same with a diamond. To get a diamond, tremendous heat, tremendous pressure to create the diamond. So it's like sitting, it's like, for you to be the diamond, and you undergo pressure, you undergo the heat. You go through pains and suffering, trials and atonements, or even just general experiences. They don't have to be traumatic. They can be your minor everyday jobs. But you go through it and you learn to improve your skills, and it makes you that much better of a person. Because you can all reflect back on your own lives. Each life is unique. You've all taken a different path. So you have to understand that what got you here, this far in your life, I mean, you still got more to go. But you can turn around and look back, and everything that happened in your life, all the activities, everything that you've done has helped to shape who you are now, and will continue to help shape how you're going to be in the future. Now, the good thing with the future is we can have a say in this direction. We get to decide, do we want to go into the dark paths and let our passions rule us? Do we fall to our vices, or do we overcome them? Do we slap on the patch and quit smoking? Do we put aside the bottle and stop drinking? Or whatever it is, put that effort in. I made a challenge many months ago. It was because I was doing the one right the day after Lent was I had a lecture, and I was sitting there saying it's 40 days of Lent before Easter, and I had that saying. I threw the challenge down that over the course of that 40 days, that's more than enough time to get a new habit. So most people say, "Oh, I'll give up chocolate, give up meat, give up something that," and then as soon as it's Easter, they go right back to it. And I made it a different challenge. I says, okay, when you give something up for Lent, give up something you can do without forever. So you're always a purified person. You're going to give up a vice. You're going to give up biting your nails or something of that persuasion. You're going to give up something that you never ever want back. And that was the challenge. Take the 40 days of Lent, work together, rely on each other through that period of time, because so many people were going through it at the same time. There was a support group. Go through, but instead of giving up something material, give up something internal. Give up a vice. Give up something negative. And thus, chart your way to a future. And then when it comes around again the next year, you can go through, know thyself, learn, stay like, okay, this comes around again, I can give up this. And make yourself better every year. Every year, find something that you can do. Or maybe it's instead of giving something up, you're going to sit there and say, for Lent, I'm going to start reading a book. I'm going to read 5 pages of a book every day. And so it's like you're giving up idleness for study. You're going to learn. You're going to educate yourself. And that was your thing. That was your build your stuff. So I set that up because don't be idle. Keep working. Keep improving. It's what drew me to the doctrine. Most of my lectures, if you notice, they all have that same theme. I've mentioned it before. It's the internal drive. Improve the self. Know thyself. Identify the problem or whatever it is that's causing you pain and suffering, and find a way to heal the wound or to remove that thorn in your side so that you can move on. Be brighter, be happier, be more alive. Don't be burdened by something so that you could do more. Because we read so many of these books, Andre Louise, Emmanuel, even the Paul and Stephen one. When you sit there and you look at all these spiritual guys, these mentors that wrote down stuff for us to follow, you look at how much they improve over their time, how it opens up when they start letting go of pride, prejudice, other vices. Now, many of them are unencumbered because they were spirits, but even like Emmanuel, he was talking about himself in the body. You read 2,000 years ago, you see him as a sinful senator. Then you go in and 50 years later, he already had that moment where he's been purified. He met Jesus personally in the book. And then he goes through, and his wife, his kids, all helped him to get closer to God, to find the divine. So that when he reincarnates in 50 years later, he's no longer a senator, but yet what he learned followed him into the next life. He was more serene. He was wiser. He was calmer. He was more of a mentor, even if he didn't have the high station. You can tell how noble he was in his spirit. And this is the point. Like, all of us are here to learn. All of us are here to grow, and hopefully, in the next lifetime, when we all come back, just like Emmanuel, we come back, we're wiser, we're better. We don't come into the next life with the same vices we had in this one, the same problems, the same afflictions, because we've taken the time in this one to make the next one better. So, just like I'm listening to some people that are new fathers, and how their life changed when all of a sudden they had to realize that, they had to take care of their whole worldview changed because now they have a little one. So they go, I don't want this world to be worse. Now that you're here, I'm going to put more effort to make your life better. You can play that to yourself too. The doctrine tells us about the reincarnation, that we do come back. So we can also say, let's make this world better for when we do come back. So that when we come back, it's easier for us to continue to rid ourselves of whatever things we need to keep learning, or whatever spiritual baggage we have. Take the time. Put the effort in. You can see your improvements. I've been here studying the doctor now for, I think it's been 17 years, something like that. And I have no idea, and you have no idea how much my life has changed over the course of those 17 years. I mean, I was literally writing a fan fiction story. And it was guns, battle, war, and everything else. But it was strange. But as I was reading the doctrine and letting the doctrine as I was starting to understand it and saying, wow, this is great. This is something worthwhile to listen and pay attention to. Because I couldn't find things to discount it. I couldn't reject the teachings. I'm like sitting here like, it makes sense. I couldn't find the error. I couldn't find the flaw. But then as I was learning and learning and learning, I was continuing to write this story because I started it and people wanted me to finish it. But they didn't realize I was actually going through a spiritual awakening at the same time. So as this character changes through the course of the story, he's no longer, at the beginning, he's very violent and aggressive. But towards the end, it's like he had a promotion and everything else, but he was more mindful. He was smarter. And he was trying to sit there and say, hey, what we did was wrong. There's got to be a better way. Maybe there's a way we can be a force for good. And that was kind of like how I left it. It was like going out and being, even though they were considered outcasts, they were outside the law, they were outlaws. They were saying like, no, even though we're outside the law, we're going to work to be better. We're going to try to be the people that will do good. And that was the course of the story. But it was interesting as I was writing it. I go back and I think I read it like 3 or 4 years later, and I saw that, and I can see the progression as I was learning. So it was fascinating for me, and hopefully, as you reflect back on how long you've been attending, how long you've been paying attention to these lectures, whether it's been this is your first day, or you've been at it for years, maybe your entire lifetime, hopefully you can see the development. And that the fact that the Spiritist doctrine, it integrates into your lifestyle. It's not something you're here for a Thursday night. You're here for an hour, you get a little wisdom, and then you leave and you totally forget everything. Hopefully, this is something that when you read the books, when you read the doctrine and you study it, it makes you want to live a better life. At least for me. Hopefully for you too. When you read the books and go through, it's like, even if it's not the 5 books of the doctrine, if you just read the Non Solar series, like Andre Louis, good reads, you can sit there and see his progression. Especially with Non Solar, you see from a doctor, he had his issues, he goes and you see him progress. It's like he realizes his errors and he changes. And he becomes this wonderful spiritual doctor. And he goes on and he does all these other missions. So, you're going through and you're putting this effort into it. It's like it says, there's more than enough out there. Even outside the doctor. All the self-help books, all the motivational books. There's so many things out there. Like even if you take a get-rich book. It's like how to imagine yourself wealthy. Okay? Now, imagine yourself spiritually wealthy. Imagine yourself morally wealthy. You change it up, but it's all for the same purpose: make you better. But then we have to take another one from Jesus. Jesus turned around. He became the teacher. He turned around and helped those behind him, those that were still climbing up the mountain. They were further down. And he was guiding them. He was telling them, hey, avoid this, avoid that. Learn from my experience. Learn from my wisdom, so you can avoid the pitfalls that I may have gone through through my resurrections and past lives. Because if Jesus was like the most perfect being ever to be incarnated on earth, with all this massive amount of wisdom and knowledge, and he was able to pull on it, and he was giving as much advice as he possibly could. And he spoke in parables to make it understandable for the people of the time. But if you sit there and you look at it and put all that wisdom and all that, everything he was sitting there and saying, it's like he's sitting here telling you how to avoid the pitfalls and how we can be better people. Go and sin no more. He would sit there and he would keep giving these wise thoughts. And it's like he's trying to tell us how to avoid our spiritual, our moral, emotional problems. All the things everything that makes us fall down. He kind of he helped us to give us a guide on what we could do to be better. And you look through history, look at the impact that he had after that time frame. Look at how the world changed, exploded. All of a sudden, now you had a group of people that weren't confined to their tribe. They weren't confined to their group. They were able to reach beyond. Jews, Gentiles. And then as it progressed, then it started reaching out to other cultures, other parts of the world. Again, it stumbled. It wasn't perfect. It was a bloody expansion, unfortunately. But once you started learning the message and you started applying it to yourself, the world became a better place from his teachings. If we would follow it better, the world would still be a far better place than it is now. I sit there, like I said, when I moved down from New Jersey and New York, I hated going to New York City because I grew up caring about people. It's like, hey, yeah, you need to get somewhere? Okay, get ahead of me. Can't do that in New York. For whatever reason, everyone's in such a rush. They're always late to wherever they had to be. You get off the train, it's like, if you're not off that train station, if you stumble, you might get stepped on. You may get run over. It's like people had to be somewhere. They couldn't bother to take the time and say, hey, are you okay? They'll just keep on going. It's like it took a crisis, 2 of them that I can recall, to make them realize that, hey, there's fellow human beings around you. Pay attention to them. Help them. Don't focus only on yourself. Help on your fellow human beings. Even if it's just to say, hey, are you okay? Even something as simple as that would have been probably greatly appreciated and helpful. Like I said, I know it's funny, I come down here in Florida, and it's amazing how many times now I've heard people say, like, have a blessed day. I didn't hear that up north. It was. I mentioned a story that I heard was on the news about a doorman in New York City. He would open the door, or as people would leave, have a beautiful, blessed day. Someone got offended and had him fired. But then people came to his rescue. Finally, people came to his rescue and sat there and says, no, I had a horrible day. I found out my wife was cheating on me. I was thinking I was going to go, being called to the office, think I was going to get fired. Then I heard his voice as I was leaving, have a beautiful, blessed day. It stopped, gave him pause. It gave him that little spark, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of light. And they carried that with them as they went to work. So when they got to their desk, they weren't so upset, mad, and angry because someone wished them a good day, a beautiful, blessed day. And they would share that with their friends, that positivity, and it would be something that would go on. So be active. Wish people have a blessed day. If someone needs a hug, give them a hug. Americans are terrible at that. It's one I love about Brazilians. It's like you go there, you get hugs everywhere. Kisses on the cheek, hugs. It's, love it. Miss it so much. Because it was always warm and inviting. It makes you feel at home. It makes you feel like you're part of a family. Going with, on the way to the light. They were saying like America was supposed to be the brain, but Brazil was the heart. And that's what I love, because then you feel that warmth, you feel that emotional, you feel that heart. Just going there and being part of the community. Just enjoying that thing. No matter how their day was, when it's time for a festival, they have fun. No matter what's going on in their life, they will have churrasco, they'll have feijoada, they'll break out the samba, and they will dance and have a great time. No matter what's going on in their life, they will have fun. They're active. They're saying, for whatever else is going on, for this moment in time, I'm putting it down, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to be active. So, and then I even went to the gospel. Those who work actively for their moral progress not only shorten their duration of physical incarnation, but they may all at once transcend the intermediate degrees that separate them from the more highly evolved worlds. Al, you have that lovely slide that has the nice line that goes from corner to corner. And we're all down here working our way up the chain. So here's the one here. It says, like, put the effort in. Refine yourself. Then you can sit there and say, okay, you were here. Now you're going to jump up a few notches. You're not just going to do like a half step. You like jump 3, 4, 5 steps. You did a massive improvement. We see this with certain people. Like we've gotten all these inspirational people: Divaldo, Chico, Mother Teresa, even Mahatma Gandhi. We have these people that will set aside to show us peace, love, charity. And they will, and thankfully we idolize them. They're respected. They're warm. And that's, if anything, that's probably one of the good things. We're starting to recognize these people that have done more good, and we're memorializing them. And we're not letting their memories fade. We're not recognizing the tyrants like we used to. We don't recognize the people that caused us pain and suffering. We're starting to recognize the people that helped us. We're thinking of the people that did the most good, and we're honoring them. But the question is, why should they be the only ones? Why can't we be just like them? We all are all capable. We're all roughly the same level. We can all take the time, put the effort in, and make things better. Do we need a tragedy to befall us before we will step up and do something nice? Or can we do it now? Can we do something now? Like it says, we got the caravan that goes around and helps. That's the start. I got the calling to come up here and teach, to speak out, to warn people, saying, hey, when I came to this life, I had a desire, I felt a need to try to live a moral life. From when I was 8 years old. I remember reading, like it says, when I was a Boy Scout, I was reading everything that they teach you as a tenderfoot. That was the most important parts of being a scout. That was the first thing they taught you. Not the merit badges, not everything else. Stuff at the very beginning. Why? Because that's the way to live your life. Just like the doctrine. Teaches you how to live your life. Now, Moral Laws, Part 3, Spirit's Book. Each 1 is a section of the book, lots of reading. But yet, it's a call of action. How many of these things up here are passive? The divine natural laws, it's probably the most passive one there because it's saying this is what's going to happen regardless. Gravity will still pull you down, whether you are working or not. The world will still keep on turning, whether you are active or not. But worship, it's a call of action. Labor, okay, labor all by itself is work. It's calling you to work. Reproduction, preservation, even destruction. Now, I've already kind of made the same thing. It's like I said there, it's like destroy that which makes you, that doesn't help you, which makes you worse. Destroy the negative influences. Preserve the positive ones, the ones that inspire, the ones that create love, create charity. You move over here. Society. That's a lot of activity. You have to interact with people. You have to find professions. You have to find ways to help each other. A talent that one person is capable of, this other person may not have, but they could do something else. You have the baker, you have the plumber, you have the barber, you have the veterinarian, all these different people with all these different professions because they work together as a team to improve life. Not just for themselves, but for others. They work together as a team and improve each other, and through that interaction, they can find out maybe they got their own little quirks and flaws, things that they need to fix, things that will come out. It's easy. It's easier to identify when you have an issue because you can see it reflected on how the interactions of the people you're with. Are people happy to see you? Or are they just sitting there like, oh, it's Brian. Hi. And then move on and talk to someone else. Because maybe that's an indication to you. It's like, okay, they're not happy to see me. Are they having a bad day? Or are you seeing it enough that say like, hey, I think I'm coming across as a little harsh, cold, unfriendly, whatever. So it kind of gives you an indication that you need to improve. Be active and improve yourself. Progress, basically this whole topic. Be active in your future. Put progress to work. Be the force for progress. Equality. Okay, that one may be a little bit more on the passive side. But then again, there's also action to it too. Wherever there's inequality, then there's a call of action to take, hey, you're meant to have a layer of equality. You're meant to be relatively balanced. Yes, there's imbalances and there's things that people are working on. But for the most part, you can't just sit there and quash a group of people. You can't have they're saying like the slavery. Everyone needs to be equal. No slaves, no masters, no subject, no masters, no rulers, no peasants. Should all be relatively equal. It takes effort. You got to be active. Freedom. It's like anyone who's studied American history at least knows that freedom, it's always active. You always have to be active to preserve freedom. It's never just given. It's always earned. And even within the doctrine, it's like you have your free will, and your liberty, your freedom, is based upon how you use your free will. We enslave ourselves to our vices. We enslave ourselves to our passions. So if we free ourselves from our passions, we free ourselves from our vices, we actually become more free. We're not shackled. We're not craving the next fix. We're not ready to go for a bottle of whatever. We're not craving the next cigarette. we're free of that. We can do more. And we're rejuvenated by it. Justice, love, and charity. You have to actively love. You have to actively seek justice. You have to actively be charitable. You have to put the effort in. So, well, we've got, but as I says, going through the different books, Paul and Stephen. How many here have read it? So about half of the people here. You saw his call to action, and you can, as you read through that book, you can see his change and everything he had to do to prepare himself to become Paul the Apostle. You see all the efforts. You see him being an active member and actively improving himself, actively subjugating himself, because he says there, like, I did so much wrong, I deserve this fate, and I gladly accept my torment because of all the bad things I did before having my moment in Damascus. But he put the effort in, and he endured hardships, trials, torture. He endured a lot to spread the message. So that most of the New Testament is his work. All the epistles, it's his writings to all the churches. He took the message of Jesus far and wide, more so than all the other apostles. He put the effort in. He was active. He wasn't even there with Jesus. He was after. He was called after. Jesus appeared to him as a spirit and said, hey, you're supposed to be one of mine. You're not supposed to be against me. And that's when he woke him up. And he had the drive. He had the passion. We all can do that. And like it says, we don't need to have a Damascus moment to awaken us. We don't have to be the workers of the 11th hour. We can choose to be active now. We can choose to be the force of good, the force of nature. As I said in a couple lectures ago, the caring force. Like it says in that lecture there, get rid of the I don't care. Just get rid of it. Always try to care. But with that, be active. Find a way to improve life. Not just like for yourself, for your family, co-worker, colleagues, friends, family, the world over. As I'm reading the book on planetary transition right now. I'm still in the very beginning parts of the book. And it starts off with the tsunami that hit in Indonesia. And I think it was like 2000. That was 2004, thank you. Because I was going to say, one of my coworkers, he died in that. But it was, as I'm reading that book, and I'm seeing that they have called upon spirits because of the great tragedy on the spiritual side. They called people far and wide. They had spirits from all over coming in to help the people that were disincarnated violently, who didn't even know that they died. But there were people that were coming from all over the world spiritually that came to help, to rescue, to render aid. The same with the people on earth. How many times have we mobilized to help people? Haiti, after Katrina, New Orleans, New York City, 9/11, or even all the myriad of hurricanes here in Florida. We turn around and we help each other. We start being active. And we also like I said, then we also do preparatory work and everything else. But that's being active. We prepare for hard times ahead. Soldier endures basic training. Not fun. Been there, done that. But going through the process expanded my limits. Told me who I could be, or what I can endure, where I can find strength from within. Like I've already endured these hardships here. Hopefully I can endure other hardships. Maybe they won't be as bad because they were so bad then. I went through that crucible. I was heated to refine myself, to find my true strength within. Little did I know that my true strength was not in my muscles or not in my brain. It was in my spirit. That's where the crucible came. When I got introduced to the doctrine, and I went through that crucible. How it purified my spirit, awakened my spirit. That's my story. What's yours? What's your call to action? What's waking you up? What's driving you to be that much better?